Hello, welcome. If you are new here, my name is Holly. If you are not new here, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about all the books that I read in both February and March. I think March is like my best reading month. Maybe not to date, but in a while. So I'm really excited to share all of that, and then if you want, you can stick around. At the end, I'm going to kind of flip through my reading journal with what I did for my February and March spreads, as well as updates to my yearly spreads. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to go over that at the end. I am also going to do it kind of out of order. I feel like normally I would do February then March, but since we just finished March, those books are kind of like fresher on my mind, so I kind of want to talk about those first and then go back to February. So without further ado, let's dive into some books. My stats for March are, I read 8 books in March, which ended up being 3,533 pages. My average rating was a 3.9, which is really high for me. And I read 4 fiction, 2 romance, 1 mystery, and 1 sci-fi. The first book that I read in March, or that I finished in March, because I don't know about you guys, but I read multiple books at once. So sometimes I'll start a book but not finish it until I've already started and finished another book. I feel like I explained that in the worst possible way. But like specifically with audiobooks. So with audiobooks, I only listen to them on my commute to work. So it takes me a lot longer to get through them than if I was just reading them. So sometimes I'll start an audiobook and it'll take me like 2 weeks to finish it. And in that time, I've read like 2 books physically. I don't really know why I'm getting into all that. The first book I finished, I read on my Kindle. I Need You to Read This by, who's it by? Jessa Maxwell. So this I would categorize more in the mystery realm, not necessarily thriller. This is about a woman. I cannot remember what her name is at all, but she applies for a like advice column that she's been reading forever. She loves it. She applies and gets the position, but once she gets the position, things get a little bit weird, and the person who was previously in that position as doing the advice column, they were murdered like a year before. So along with like getting this dream job, she's also like taking it upon herself to try to figure out and uncover the mystery behind that person's murder, and also keep herself alive because some sketchy stuff starts happening. Overall, it was pretty good. Nothing really stood out as being amazing. Like the writing was fine. I gave it a 3 because it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I feel like I read it pretty quick. Like I remember it not taking me very long to get through it. A lot of the plot twists I did see coming, or they were just so outlandish that I don't think anyone could have seen them coming. So, you know, kind of frustrating. But since it was a mystery feeling and not a thriller feeling, it wasn't as big of a deal to me. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it to anyone, but I totally see why people love this one. The next book that I finished was Legion by Dan Abnett. This is, again, part of that Horus Heresy series that I am reading that is in the Warhammer world. I might just do a completely separate video on those. So if you know anything about Warhammer and you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, because I am obsessed with it, but obviously the further I get into the series, the less I can really say. But this one was really good. It was like a spy novel in outer space. Not in outer space, but like on a different planet, which was cool. But I found it to be a lot slower. I don't know, it was just slower than the first few books. I still gave it a 3.5 because it was good. It wasn't great though, but I am excited to continue the series. Next, I read Funny Story on my Kindle by Emily Henry. I can't believe I almost forgot her name. I have read 2 Emily Henry books. This is my 3rd. The first 2, one I loved, one I really, really did not like. So this for me was kind of like, this is kind of the book that I was like, okay, I need to figure out if I actually like Emily Henry's books, because she is all over the place. So I feel like there's just this pressure to like her books or love her books, but they don't always hit with me. And in this case, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was really cute. It was a fast read. There was, you know, that emotional stuff going on. I just didn't really vibe with this one for the same reasons that I didn't really vibe with Beach Read. I don't like exes in books. It's just kind of weird to me. So this book is about you have your two main characters. Both of them just got dumped and their exes are now dating and like engaged to be married. So they kind of get thrown together in this situation of both being broken up with. The other person like really understands what they're going through because it's super hard and all that stuff. And then in order to kind of like get back at their exes, they do like this fake dating thing. It was weird. I didn't really understand why fake dating was even necessary. For me personally, once I break up with someone or get broken up with, you're the past. I don't acknowledge your existence anymore. So I think that's why it's so hard for me to get into books where exes are such a high priority. Anyway, it was fine. I liked it. I can see why people love them, but for me it was just kind of a miss, but I still enjoyed myself. So 3 stars. Then I had another audiobook, Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. Julia Whelan is a very popular audiobook narrator, and she's also an author, which I didn't know, but I listened to the audiobook because obviously she narrates it and I love her narration. But this book is about an audiobook narrator who previously did romance, and so it's like this whole book is set up in like what it's like to be a romance audiobook narrator, which I didn't realize there was such a big community for that, but I guess there is. And just reading audiobooks in general. And there's also a lot of other things going on in her life to where she finds herself like lost, I guess. So she's struggling with things from her past, and then she has family issues going on, and she's just trying to figure out who she is and what she wants out of life. And so that was a really nice narrative alongside the romance. So I enjoyed it. I gave it, I think again, 3 stars. It was good. I did find the main character a little bit annoying in how she just like blew up over the smallest things sometimes. And I understand that like when you have a lot on your plate and you're dealing with a lot of things, sometimes it's the small things that really just throw you off, you know, like kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. But that's not what this felt like. It just felt like she was making a mountain out of a molehill several different times. So didn't love that, but I thought the book was good. Now we are getting into the meat of this video, which is I reread, like so many other people this month, I reread the Hunger Games series. Ta! And I actually got the beautiful paperback, let's see, yeah. Beautiful paperback, sprayed edges. What is this called? The limited edition, special edition version. I cannot believe that took me so long. Anyway, they are gorgeous. I love them so much. I have read the original series twice before this reread. So I read them obviously when I was a kid and they were first coming out and the movies were coming out. I read them, loved them. So much went over my head because I was probably like 11, somewhere around there. But a lot of it went over my head. And so I reread them when the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, audiobook version, and I got a lot more out of it that second time. But this time, rereading it because of Sunrise on the Reaping, I got so much more out of it. I could give you a 5-hour-long presentation on why I think the Hunger Games original trilogy is the best series to exist, which may sound a little dramatic, but I am hard pressed to think of a series that I have more to say about. Like, I could go on and on. I'm gonna try and keep it brief, but just know that I underlined so much in these. My husband was shocked because he was like, they're special editions. Why are you writing in them? Because they're mine. So I mean, you can just flip through here and I have so many things underlined. There's just so much more to this than you see talked about. And I really want to talk about it all, but I'm gonna condense it. The original trilogy just tackles so much. Obviously, there is the dialogue on our society and all of that, you know, the comparisons between the Capitol and like the media in our day. But then also just the fact that like Katniss is 16 and 17 in this series, and she's written like a 16 and 17-year-old, which was really nice. But also the thing that people miss so often is that she literally at no point in the series did she want to do what she was doing. Doesn't matter what it was. She had zero choice the entire time. She's a child, so she's gonna have childish reactions to things. And she's going through some of the most traumatic things that a person can go through. Not even gonna mention the fact that her entire life up until that point was also extremely traumatic. She just was put in so many bad situations, and I feel like people judge her for that, and I will not stand for that. Last thing I'm gonna say about the original series, it's not about the love triangle. It's not about the love triangle. I am so sick of people talking about the love triangle. It doesn't matter. Read the books. In the movies, I can see it matters, and that like was a huge marketing ploy, was the love triangle. No. In the books, it's not like that. She literally, like, there are so many quotes that I underlined. Go check out my Goodreads and like see my quotes, because in Mockingjay alone, I had over 100 quotes underlined with notes, and I'm sure the number is similar for Hunger Games and Catching Fire. But there are so many quotes where she just straight up said like, I don't have time to think about who I like. I don't have time to process these feelings. All I know is that like I really care for both of these people, and I'm worried that I'm gonna die at any minute. So she literally does not, it's not a love triangle. She's not like, oh, who do I want? She doesn't have time to think about that. And she even brings up the point that every time someone asks her about it or like mentions it, she's like, that's so demeaning that you would look at the time that we're in right now, this state of like panic and war, and you're really gonna ask me about boys? My love life? Really? So it's not a love triangle. I will say though, it's Peeta. Peeta's the one for her. If you don't think so, read the last page of the Mockingjay. Okay, just do it, please, because Gale is gross and I don't like him. Anyway, if you want to hear more of my ramblings, please let me know, because I am just itching to unleash all of this that is trapped inside me, and my husband is so over listening to me talk about it. But I think it goes without saying that the original trilogy are all 5 stars. Literally no critiques, no complaints, no notes. So good. Then we have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I really enjoyed this one. I loved Snow as a character. I will say Donald Sutherland did him justice. He did him so well, similar to how like Haymitch, Woody Harrelson really brought that character to life and made him who he is. I think that's the same way for Snow. So I've always loved Snow, and I really didn't expect to get his backstory, but I'm so glad that we did, because you see how delusional he is. Also, if you think that this is a romance, you're wrong. You're wrong. Just read through. How many times does he talk about like owning Lucy Gray and like she belongs to him and she's his girl, his prize? Like, it's disgusting. He is not capable of love. That's literally all he cares about, is power. He does not give 2 craps about love. He just likes feeling special. And Lucy Gray, for some unknown reason, don't know what she saw in him, but I really enjoyed this one. Again, these are very young adult, so as you're reading it, you know, you can't really expect it to be written at a mature adult level, but the content, I would say, is kind of mature. This one is really interesting because it's the only one in the series, including Sunrise on the Reaping, that is written from the 3rd person, and I just really love that Suzanne Collins did that. She said, Coriolanus Snow is not one of us. It's a he. Anyway, I'm not gonna say anything else, but this book is very good. I gave it 4 stars. I did read Sunrise on the Reaping finally, but I'm not going to talk about it in this video because technically I finished it in April, so stick around for that wrap up where I will talk about it. Or, you know, if you are interested in my thoughts on the Hunger Games as a whole, please let me know in the comments so that I can make a video about it and not feel weird. Okay, thanks. We are now moving into the February portion of the video. In February, I read 6 books, which was 2,120 pages. My average rating was a 3.25. I read 2 romance, 2 thrillers, 1 fantasy, and 1 sci-fi. The first book that I read in February was Part of Your World, which is the first book in an interconnected standalone series by Abby Jimenez. I've actually read books 2 and 3 in this interconnected standalone, but I'd never read the first one. So I went back and read it. I want to say I read it in maybe like 2 days. Like, I just ate it up. Abby Jimenez writing is so easy to digest and the banter is so fun. I'm just like kicking my feet. This one is about this woman who gets stuck in the road in this small town, and this guy comes and saves her. They end up having a one-night stand and she leaves, but she can't stop thinking about him. He is unfortunately rooted in his small town and she is rooted in the city, so they end up trying to make a romance work, trying to make a relationship work, and you just kind of see them navigate those struggles of, is it actually gonna work? But also dealing with your female main character's internal problems. Like, she has a lot going on in her life. She is just finishing a divorce from a crazy narcissistic abusive husband, and unfortunately, as most narcissists are, he's loved by everyone in their social circle. Even her family likes him better than her, which is insane. So that was interesting to navigate. It does have that like emotional depth that you get with Abby Jimenez. I will say, of the 3 books in the interconnected standalone, I think this one is my least favorite, but I still gave it 4 stars, so it was really good. I then read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This one was a wild ride. The way it was written, first of all, was very interactive between the main character and the reader, which I normally can't stand that, but she made it work for this one. It very much felt like reality TV. It was interesting. So the idea behind this book is our female main character is technically married to our male main character. They got married so that they could get like cheaper housing or something in college, but never spent any time together. It was just a marriage on paper, and then they were gonna get divorced afterwards. But then he comes back and he's like, hey, we're still technically married. I need you to convince my family that this is a real marriage because of some inheritance issues and other things going on. So she has to go to his family's like private island. They're uber rich, of course, and they're trying to put on this front of being madly in love despite having like maybe 3 conversations in the past 5 years with each other. So it's a lot of rich people drama, a lot of dirty humor. I thought it was fun. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a good time. I recommend it, but it was really spicy and just like really dirty. So heads up on that. I then read Fulgrim, which is another book in the Horus Heresy series that I talked about. It's the one before Legion. I ended up giving this one a 4 star. I really liked it. I can't really say too much about it, but yeah, moving right along. Then my February book club pick was Bad Taurus by Caro Carver. This is a thriller where these 3 women are connected by this like horrific event that happened in the past, where this man went like crazy and murdered everyone in this hotel except for one of the women, and then the other 2 women are related because they had like family members that were murdered. So the 3 of them are like trauma bonded, and they've decided to go on vacation to kind of celebrate one of the characters' divorce. And it also happens to fall on the anniversary of this traumatic thing. So once they get to the island, some stuff starts happening, things start unraveling. Not everyone is really who they say they are. There's lots of secrets, and it was really interesting to watch that unfold. Overall, it was good. I was surprised, which is good. Did not see the plot twist coming, so I gave it 4 stars. I then read another thriller, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This has been on my TBR for like 2 years. I have been trying to read this book for so long, but I could not find it anywhere. Now I think I maybe know why, because this book was horrible. It was so bad. Possibly the worst thriller I've ever read. I do not understand the hype. It's gotten so many 5 stars and I don't understand. I'm so happy that y'all enjoyed it, but that was hot garbage. I don't even remember what I gave it. I think I gave it probably 2 stars. So basically this book is about this girl who reads this terrible thriller and leaves a 1-star review. And the author reaches out, like comments back and is like, hey, I need you to take down your review. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. This is America, you know, I can say what I want to say. And he then starts stalking her, and she's of course in this isolated beach house. Great premise, right? The execution was just so bad. There were so many like what felt like gotcha moments, which I can't stand in a thriller. Like there were just too many plot twists. And they were all like conflicting plot twists. Like you're believing one thing and then it turns again. And it was just a bit much. I think I listened to the audiobook. That's finally how I found it, was on Libby. I got the audiobook. When we got to like 2 hours left, I was like, are you kidding me? How is there any book left? I am so over this. So I really did not like this one, which is so disappointing because I've seen so many people rave about it, give it 5 stars, say it's the best thriller they've ever read. I hated it. I hated it so much. So I'm not gonna recommend it to you, but if there are other people you trust that recommend it, I guess go for it. I'd skip it though. I then read A Reaper at the Gates, which I have the physical copy. It's just in the other room and I really don't feel like getting up and going to get it. I know. I'm lazy though. But this is the 3rd book in, what is the series called? Is it just An Ember in the Ashes? I don't know what the series is called, but it is the 3rd book in the series. It's written by Sabah Tahir. This is now the 3rd time that I'm gonna say I need to look up how to pronounce it. Turns out I'm just not going to. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it. This book was so slow. It was so slow, and it just totally could not keep my interest. I kept putting it down, did not really want to see what happened. When it finally picked up around 60%, I still just didn't care. Unfortunately, I am not emotionally connected to any of the characters, and at this point I'm only reading to figure out what happens. Not that I care, but I'm just curious, and my husband already bought me the 4th book, so I will be reading it. I can't really say too much about what it's about because it's part of a series, but you can go watch some of my other reading wrap-ups. I don't remember when I read it. I think I read it at the end of last year. I talked about it in one of my reading videos. I don't remember which one. I gave this book 3 stars? Yes, 3 stars. And finally, I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. This I did not realize was a short story. I know it says a short story, but for some reason in my mind, I thought that meant like novella, but it's like less than 100 pages. I read it obviously in one sitting because it was so short, but it is about these apartment neighbors who live on the 2nd floor, and through a terrible miscommunication, the stairs that lead up to their landing gets removed, and the builders or like the workers aren't gonna be back to replace them until the following, like after that weekend. So they're just kind of isolated together, and you get to see kind of this romance blossom and develop out of the forced proximity. But she also has a past that she's dealing with. She has like this stalker who has kept her on the move for I don't know how long. But anyway, it was really, really cool to see Abby Jimenez be able to write such a cute romance with that emotional depth that she has and do so successfully in 90 pages. Like, I was impressed. Obviously, it's a short story, so you can't get too deep. You don't get that many details, but what we do get is solid. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. that is it. Those are all the books that I read in February and March. Now for my reading journal, I'm very excited to share with you guys what I've been doing. So here is my February spread. So cute. I have a page devoted to my book club, and then this is my wrap up with all of those stats. And then I have my the same spreads that I use every month, where I have my calendar and the books that I read, and then this shows how many pages I read of whatever book on each day. So I love this layout. It's so interesting just to be able to see things in a visual way, like see my statistics laid out like this. Very cool. Here is my March cover page. This took me forever. This took me so long and my hand was cramping so bad at the end, but I think it turned out adorable and I really like it. I did not have a book club page this month because we ended up not having one, but I do have my wrap up, and again those same spreads that I showed you on the other one. This is the first month that I've read every single day of the month. I didn't miss a single day in March and I'm so happy. I have like what, a 6-week streak I think on Fable. If you use Fable, you should follow me or friend me, whatever it is. And if you're not using Fable, you absolutely should. It is like so much better than Goodreads and it's so much more interactive and fun and I just love it so much. But here is my March info. Very briefly, we're gonna talk about my yearly spreads. I did not complete any goals, which is fine. Those are like end of the year goals anyway. I did read Sunrise on the Reaping, which I read that in April, but I went ahead and put it on here, so got to check that off. 2 down, 8 to go. I made March green because spring, so I added 8 more boxes, which just represent 8 books read, and then as you can see, I read every single day this month. So I got to color that whole thing in. That felt really good. Still not sure what I'm going to do about this page, so we're just going to skip it. But I did get to fill in a lot on my bingo board. I don't remember specifically what I filled in, but I just know that I filled in several, so we're making good progress on that. These are my finish a book like charts. So I just marked every day that I finished a book, and then here's my little tracker for the whole year. Added a few more pixels, 8 to be precise. I actually did add quite a few quotes from this month. I'm gonna read some of them to you. This one's from Funny Story. All those moments that don't get marked on calendars with hand-drawn stars or little stickers. These are the moments that make a life. And I did condense some of the quotes. They're not like word for word, but like I pretty much kept them the same. I really love that because I feel like so often we get caught up on the big like moments, like the big like things that you want to document, but your life is not just the big events. It's all the little things. It's the day-to-day. It's the morning coffee and the kiss goodbye and, you know, getting home from work and work. So all those little things, it's really easy to just kind of ignore them or throw them off. But that's what makes your life. So if you're unhappy with your life, don't try to change something huge. Look at all the little things. Look at the little moments that make up your day and see which of those you can change, and that'll change your life. Here's proof that it was PETA from the start and PETA in the end. I know I said it's not a love triangle. It's not a love triangle, but some of you people are driving me crazy. This is a quote from The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, okay, book 1. To this day, I can never shake the connection between this boy, Peter Millark, and the bread that gave me hope, and the dandelion that reminded me that I was not doomed. Okay, now we're gonna skip to Mockingjay. What I need is the dandelion in the spring, the bright yellow that means rebirth instead of destruction, the promise that life can go on no matter how bad our losses, and it continues on and does name drop PETA, by the way. I just think that's beautiful. He's the dandelion. He is what she needs. He balances her out, okay? Anyway, and then here's the quote from Catching Fire. And I'm left staring out the window, watching District 12 disappear with all my goodbyes still hanging on my lips. That's heartbreaking. It was so sad. Oh, and then I did one more from the Mockingjay. You love me, real or not real? Real. So good. And then my A to Z reading challenge. I think I did get to fill in 1 or 2 more. Oh, I did Catching Fire, Hunger Games, I Need You to Read This, and Thank You for Listening. Those are all of the letters that I filled in for this month. So that's my reading journal. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope maybe you got some books to add to your TBR or some books that you're gonna be avoiding. If you made it this far, I'm gonna assume that means you liked the video, and if you did, make sure that you like the video. And if you enjoy listening to me ramble and watching me just do my thing every day, please go ahead and subscribe so that I can see you in the next one. Mwah. Bye.